Okay, folks, Andrew Bobros here. Well, I want to do a video on our undrafted free agents that I actually think can make the squad, right? Maybe the squad 53-man roster and at least the practice squad. I got four guys for you that I think can actually make the team. And I'm going to talk about some free agents I think that could change the narrative of those four undrafted free agents that can make the squad. So lots to talk about, guys. Let's get into it.
Bull Bros!
Okay, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Bobro. So before I go into this a whole lot, I want to talk a little about really Jim Harbaugh, and how I think he's changing the narrative of this team. You guys realize that we're not even playing music at practice. They want these players out there to 100% focus on what they're supposed to do. They don't want them listening to music. It is just focus. Very different than the prior regime when they had music going. It was basically a rave out there, which I thought was, kind of interesting. When you're at the gym working out, you kind of want some music. But Jim says, no, man, no, you're here to sweat. You're here to do what we're asking you to do, and we want you focused. And so that's an interesting cultural change, and nobody's complaining about it, which I think is great, right? So this man's focused, man, and he's going to get our team moving the right direction. So again, I've been very interested to see. And by the way, I thought it was hilarious. This whole jersey now, it's a yellow jersey. Normally it's red, if I remember correctly from last year, but it was interesting that it's yellow. So I had to post that today on our YouTube channel. I just thought that was pretty interesting. And so anyways, look, clearly there's a new sheriff in town and his name is Jim Harbaugh, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing, and we'll go from there. So as I go through the undrafted free agents I think can make the team, I'm going to go 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then I'm going to talk about two free agents I think that could completely change the narrative of that conversation. So I'm going to get into it a little bit, but we'll go from there. So hopefully my method to my madness will come across here with you guys. But I want to hear your thoughts on my list here of four players I think can make the team. All right, number 4 on my list. Probably a bit of a shock for most of you guys, but I think the one Michigan guy that we picked up in undrafted free agent, I think actually has a pretty good shot. I know a lot of people like that homie from Appalachian State. What was his name again? Bucky Williams. I don't see a whole lot with him, personally, but Carson Barnhart, guard from Michigan, I think he has a shot of making the practice squad. Maybe not the actual 53-man roster, but I think he could be a practice squad type of guy. By the way, there were a lot of other undrafted free agents we could have gone after. And just so you guys know, the undrafted free agents is kind of a free-for-all. Once the draft is over, it is like everyone gets on the phone. Hey, you want to come Chargers, want to come to Chargers, and you just call everybody you want. You call their agents, and you try and get as many people as possible. Then the player decides where they want to go, typically, right? So then there's a bit of a negotiation. So it is interesting to see how that works out. But again, there were a lot of people available. Trent Jones, from Michigan also was available, Drake Nugent, and then Josh Wallace. Ultimately, LA only signed one Wolverine, and this is him, Carson Barnhart, which I thought was interesting. But he's a utility lineman. This goes back to my point. Why him? Utility lineman. I think he can play every position except center. That's all he's never played center, at least in Ann Arbor. But I do think he has an opportunity to compete for a guard role moving forward. But again, utility. He started 3 games at right guard when Zach Zinter broke his leg in 2023. Then he kicked inside from right tackle to right guard, right? He's a standout. He's not a great standout athlete. He's not like the best guy, not the fastest guy, not the whatever. But he's useful and he's versatile, right? That's my point, right? He has the ability to be moved around, right? And one guy that's, and I will say this from a veteran perspective, Jamari Salyer is looking great. A lot of people are saying he's looking very good, and he's been versatile, right? So I think he's going to be competing for Pipkins for that right guard position, at the beginning of the season. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out. But he's a very good blocker, a very good run blocker, and he's above average pass blocker. So again, why I like him, versatility, and that's really it. And he's a Michigan guy, so I look at the line and think, okay, it kind of makes some sense. Maybe you can use him as special teams as well too. If you move him up, maybe he can be a special teams guy. We'll see how it plays out. But I think there's a little bit of home cooking here, and that's partially why I like him over some of the other guys. And again, Willis Patrick from TCU is another great one. Bucky Williams is still good too. I still think everyone has a shot. And those two big tackle homies that we got, Tyler McLean and also Tyler Smith, those dudes are huge. Tyler Smith is 6'6", 310. Dude, big dude. Tyler McLean is like 6'7", 321, right? I mean, these are big freaking human beings. So, again, I do think that these tackles also have a shot, right? I would say they're kind of the bubble guy. Maybe I would say one of those two guys has maybe an opportunity to make the fifth spot, or maybe even Bucky if I were to have a fifth choice. Or I don't know, maybe even Willis Patrick, right? I think one of those guys could potentially make the squad as well. So again, I think Carson Barnhart is a little bit of a sleeper. I think he could make the team. Okay, moving on to number 3. My boy here from Ole Miss. I actually think he has a really good shot because if you start looking at our cornerback room in general, right? Let me pull it up here real quick. Cornerback room feels a little light to me, right? And I don't love a lot of what we have. Christian Fulton's a lock, Cam Hart's a lock for sure. Obviously, Sante Samuel and Tarheeb Steele definitely locks, right? So that's 4 guys. Matt Hankins been with us 1 year from Iowa. Yeah, we'll see. Robert Kennedy, we picked him up from North Carolina State. We'll see. He's a little bit undersized. But Zamari Walton, man, I like what I see with him. He's around 200 pounds, around 6'3", a little bit bigger type frame. And again, he's played in college for 5 years. He was part of Georgia Tech for a very long time, and he's only had 1 season at Ole Miss, right? So interestingly, we did scoop up his colleague, Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste, linebacker from Ole Miss. He's 6'1", 188. So he's on our team. He was actually an undrafted free agent that we scooped up, which I thought was interesting. We seem to really like guys from Ole Miss for whatever reason, but he's fairly fast, 4.51. I say fairly fast, like there's no chance I could ever be a 4.51 runner. Trust me, I'm slow as hell, but that's his 40-yard dash. He's pretty good, but he's an outside cornerback. So he's a big guy. He's kind of the press man dude. And he has a lot of special team snaps. That's kind of why I'm getting at. I like him. And depending on what happens with Dean Leonard, who came from Ole Miss, by the way, AJ Finley, who came from Ole Miss, by the way, and how much they're going to be playing special teams. This guy can make the team as a depth piece, playing special teams, filling in for certain positions, right? So, and he's got a good nose for the ball, right? Again, 21 passes, 5 interceptions in his college career. He's done well. He's been a very good overall rock steady player. So I think that's kind of why I look at him. And I say, when I look at Dean Leonard, when I look at Jasir Taylor and some of these other players, somebody has to step up in special teams. I think this could be the guy. He's got good size. I just see a lot of upside potential with him. So again, I like him a lot. I think he's probably one of the better undrafted free agents we've gotten. I do like him a lot. So hence why I do think that he is good. Again, remember guys, these are my next 2 that I actually do think could make the 53-man roster. And then I might have 2 more free agents, and I'm going to give you 2 free agents at the end that I think we actually could sign as well. So number 2 on my list, who I really think can make this squad, is this guy, Zach Hines, tight end he's a Jackrabbit from South Dakota. Okay. This guy's a meat and potatoes dude, like shucking hay, throwing bales, cold ass weather. Have you ever been in North Dakota, South Dakota? Freaking cold. There ain't nothing to do out there. And, again, he's a Sioux Falls native. Dude, 6'6", 260. 6'6", 260, right? Now, I'm going to go into a little bit more why I do think he has a better shot of making the 53-man roster. I think it's a foregone conclusion he will most likely make the team. I mean, unless he absolutely wets the bed, hurts himself really bad, I just don't see it happening. But let me talk more about why. Again, he's won 3 straight titles at Washington High School in South Dakota before going to the Jackrabbits in college. Then they won back-to-back national champions, and he was a big part of it. So the dude has a championship pedigree. That goes a long way with the Harbaugh mindset, right? So he's a good blocker. A little sluggish in his running, but he's 6'6", 260. That's big. It's a big dude. So my point is, like, he has all the blocking tangibles. Talk more about that, is why that matters. And he does have very good hands. I mean, some people even said that he had some of the best hands of the team in South Dakota, right? So he does everything that the Harbaugh regime would want him to do. Again, you think about the two tight ends that we signed in the offseason, Hayden Hurst and also Will Dissly. Both of those guys are very big, same size as this gentleman right here, young man, but they're very good blockers, and they are good at controlling the C gap. I really, truly believe Zach Hines is a better blocker than our existing tight ends we have now. Parham, not a great blocker. Stone Smart, a horrible blocker, right? So I look at Stone Smart and say, okay, he's more of a weapon offensively than he is a blocking physical tight end. So I say most likely he will be the fourth tight end for this team. So I do think we suit up 4 tight ends also. But again, going back to it, he'll most likely have to find, some value on special teams, and then, be the fourth tight end that he comes in on certain rotation plays. But again, he's very good. I just think when we're going to run a ton of 12 and 13 personnel, he fits that perfectly, and Stone Smart does not, right? And Parham really does not, right? And his injury issues have been, well documented, as we know. So again, I think this guy, in my opinion, is a lock. I just really do think he's a lock 100%. So anyways, moving on to my number 1 pick. Again, this guy it's 1 and 1+, basically. But again, my 4 choices are, and this guy right here, Akeem Dent, I think is pretty much a lock. Again, my free agent choices that I do think I'm going to talk about 2 free agent pickups that might change this conversation, but I think this guy, Akeem Dent, has a very good chance. Now, I'm already predicting he's going to make the 53-man roster, but if he doesn't make the 53-man roster, then he'll at least make the practice squad, in my opinion, right? So just so you guys know, prior to the draft, he got a ton of interest from the Packers, Saints, and Seahawks. Not even the Chargers. I thought that was kind of interesting. But, again, he chose to come to the Chargers because I think he has the best potential to earn a roster spot. And the reason being is, if you look at our safety room, it's a little weak, guys, right? I mean, let's talk about it for a second. You got AJ Finley, who, by the way, has looked very good. I think he's our 3rd safety across the board. I really do. I think Finley has locked it up. But then you got, guess what? JT Woods, who we haven't seen hide nor hair of that kid, right? So is he going to show up? Like what's going to happen with JT Woods? I look at him and he just hasn't materialized into anything at this point, right? So, and again, we did pick up a couple of other rookies. Thomas Harper from Notre Dame, I think he's a bit undersized. Jalen Phillips from Clemson, I think, he could potentially do fairly well, but, we'll see. But again, I just think that Akeem Dent has a very easy path to getting that position, especially since JT Woods has been a no-show for going on to his 3rd year, right? So again, we'll see how it goes. But again, I think Finley is the 3rd guy, and I think it really boils down to Dent and Woods for that last position. And I just think it's the easiest one for somebody to scoop up. And, for whatever reasons, Woods, either he's lost confidence or just doesn't believe in himself. Who knows, right? But talking more about Dent, he's the true center field type of safety, right? Which is really what you want. I think he's a lot like an Alohi Gilman. If you watch his footage, he does kind of play a lot like an Alohi Gilman or a poor man's Derwin James. He's good. His RAS score, relative athletic score, is fairly high. It's 8.8 or 8.65, which I think is great. So, but again, I think he's a lock for special teams, right? So I think you move him into special teams really easily. He's a former 4-star recruit. And I think he's going to push Finley for that 4th spot and really maybe edge out JT Woods. So we'll see how it plays out. And again, guys, what does Harbaugh say? Competitors welcome. This guy has played a long time. He's very productive in college. I think he really makes the spot. So again, anything can happen, guys. And again, there's a lot of honorable mentions. I can talk about a few others. I want to hear your thoughts on my list. Like it, dislike it. And also, if there's somebody I'm missing that you really think should make the squad over some of these other guys, you let me know. Leave a comment down below. But let's talk about undrafted free or not undrafted free agents. Free agents, I think we could still go after. I think Justin Simmons is number one on my list. Now, again, he would change Akeem Dent's future with this team dramatically if we do sign Justin Simmons. But he's 30 years old. A lot of people think he's a better fit in Atlanta with the Falcons. We'll see. I like Justin Simmons. Currently we have around 26 million left over. Yeah, a little over 26 million in cap space. We do still need to sign Joe Alt and Ladd McConkey. I suspect we'll probably lose around 7 or 8 million on that. We'll see. But, we should have a little bit of money left over to sign another player. So Justin Simmons might be that guy. And I would love that. I would rather have a veteran like a Justin Simmons and then have AJ Finley be the fourth safety. But we'll see, right? I do think that there's a lot of opportunities there, moving forward. The final guy on this list that I think we could go after is Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore's a little older, 33. Mostly recently played with the Dallas Cowboys, but I already talked about our cornerback problems. I don't think we're super deep at cornerback, right? I think we have a lot of good corners, not a lot of great corners, but Stephon Gilmore would fit in the system so well. These are probably my two top available free agents that I think we could go after. I think those two guys would completely change the narrative of who we go after. But there's a few others that I want to talk about. Let me know if you want me to do a deeper, wider video on free agents that we could go after. I think there's a couple defensive linemen that we could go after. Also, let me know if you'd like me to do a video on undrafted free agents that we could potentially go after from not undrafted free agents, from the UFL. The UFL season will be ending, and there will eventually be some players that want to make the jump to the NFL. So let me know if you want me to give you some predictions on players from the UFL that are going to make a move to the NFL. Again, guys, what are your thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. I'm Andrew Bolt Bros. See you guys in the next one.